Greg, how do you know if a testing program is successful? And I'd specifically like to hear your comments on the word fail. What if a test fails, so to speak?
Testing programs are based on success, but success can only be based on real goals. So the idea of testing just for executing tests, that's really, you're not setting the stage correctly. So first off, you need to identify real goals to measure the effectiveness of your testing. But when you bring up the idea of failing, for us at Brooks Bell, we don't really believe in the word of failing. Because if you are testing correctly, if you are identifying the right hypotheses to prove or disprove, then even if you have a depreciation in that metric, that is not a fail. That's still a learning. And so we don't necessarily like to talk about win rates or lose rates. It really should be talking about learning rates. The only way that you could possibly fail is if tests aren't getting out the door because your process is broken, because your hypothesis is not strong enough, because you're testing in ways that are not pushing towards the overall goal. When you talk about return on investment when it comes to a testing program, that's key as well, because it is a considerable investment both in money and resourcing and time to actually execute a testing program. And so you need to take all of that into consideration. So you start with that goal. What is the goal of the testing program? Then you actually put in that process and you dedicate the resourcing. And then you need to identify, based on that business learning, which inevitably should lead to some sort of money metric or some sort of learning metric, that's how you really identify success. But I think a lot of people fall into the trap of, I lost so many tests, when really the issue is not that they've lost, it's that the test hypothesis is not something in which they're really learning. It could be something very superficial, like the color of a button or a placement of a product shot, that they may gain some minimal insight, but a depreciation in results makes it feel like a loss because you can't do anything with it. A proper hypothesis ensures that there is no failure in that testing program. Kevin, from your perspective, how do you think the idea of return on investment plays into the value or success of a testing program?
Definitely the folks who are writing the checks for testing efforts, whether it's technology, services, or a combination of both, are looking for a return on investment. They're looking for those wins that are going to tell them that what's going on is resulting in incremental revenue. Without a doubt, that is one of the most important things that we need to encourage optimization professionals to be engaged in. It's the kind of dialogue that will get them more support, get them more budget from their leadership to continue their programs and actually spread their influence around the organization. That being said, I think that there's a lot of skepticism around the results that testing can yield. And it's really incumbent upon the optimization professional to explain how they come to their results, how they extrapolate their wins to determine the overall impact on revenue and the business, and that can be a bit of a nuance and really understanding how to communicate those wins.